who spent more than 2.5 years in a Mississippi jail waiting for a trial that actually never happened. Sinatra Jordan had been accused of shooting at 2 police officers, setting off an intense car chase through the streets of Jackson.
Y'all heard that right? Damn near 2.5+ years and still no trial. Let's get down to the smoke.
Tonight, we're talking about some exclusive NBC News reporting about a man who spent more than 2.5 years in a Mississippi jail waiting for a trial that actually never happened. Sinatra Jordan had been accused of shooting at 2 police officers, setting off an intense car chase through the streets of Jackson in August of 2022. Officers opening fire on the car that Jordan was driving. It ended with Jordan's friend, who was in the passenger seat, getting shot in the head. She had to get multiple surgeries to remove the bullet from her brain. From jail, Jordan told investigators what happened.
Hold on. She got shot in the head multiple times. Now, surgery to remove bullets. I hope she got a lawsuit and got some money for it, because that's completely, you know what I mean? Like, God damn.
I want you to listen to the audio of that recording obtained by NBC News.
Them folks started shooting for no reason. So if you ran, you wouldn't know what to do. Somebody just up and get you shooting.
So Jordan's version is very different from what one of the officers involved in the incident said.
You could hear shots real loud at that time because we were going a reduced speed because of the tires, and they slowed down.
But here's the crazy part of it all. The case took this dramatic turn back in December of last year when the officers were each indicted by a grand jury in Jordan's case. Then, on March 11, Jordan was able to strike a plea deal and walk free. The shooting charges against him were, in fact, dropped. NBC's John Shupe, did I say your name correctly?
You did.
Let me tell y'all something before they continue. The police chase, I believe Jordan, they were shooting. The police had to have let off the first shots, because for him to just go and walk off, you know what I mean? Like, unscathed. You see what I'm saying? But he got to spend damn near all that time in prison. You know, I think like for them, they couldn't keep him no longer. To be honest with you, that's what I got. They couldn't keep him no longer. The feds could not keep him no longer.
Okay, good. Worked on this exclusive reporting, speaking to Jordan regularly throughout this entire ordeal. You were there the moment that he walked free, right, after spending 2.5 years in jail, no trial, nothing, literally not. I mean, your reporting is so incredible because you talk about how at one point he was asking you for updates, not really even knowing what was going on with his case as he sat behind bars, just kind of waiting.
Well, this is what was so interesting about this. We were looking into several shootings at the Capitol.
I have to ask, though, is it because he's black that they did him like that? Or is this something that happens all the time in the United States of America? You get what I'm saying? That's what I want to know. Because how does a man sit for 2.5 years waiting for his day in court, and the day never comes? So y'all was playing these sucker-ass games in the background trying to, I guarantee they're trying to get him to plead and do all kind of shit and fuck up his life. Because the first thing they try to do is always push a plea deal on you, even if you're not guilty. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a sport. To me, going to court with the lawyers and the prosecution and all that shit, it's like a sport. They're trying to win and have a high record of convictions. That's all.
Police were involved in Jackson.
Yeah.
And this one stuck out because Sinatra Jordan was in jail on the shooting and nothing was happening in his case. So over time, it became not just what happened in the shooting, but why is he in jail for so long?
How did it turn then to the officers? Like that's the key here. So they were going after Sinatra Jordan. They were saying, okay, the way in which you told the story is not true, is not accurate. The officer telling us that you shot at them, they were chasing you, hence why you're now being incarcerated and awaiting trial. And yet then suddenly on a dime, it turns and the officers are being indicted. Do we know what evidence led to that change?
No, I tried to figure out. I got access to a lot of evidence in the case, and there was nothing explicitly in the evidence that I had that pointed to something explicitly that the officers had done wrong. But when a grand jury...
They're trying to hide the fact that the officers fucked up. You know what I'm saying, family? I'm going to keep it real with y'all, family. Straight up and down like 6 o'clock, because you know how we do it. That's a goddamn lie. They know, the judge knows, the prosecution knows. I think it's the prosecution, whoever the fuck it is, they know. But they don't want it to come out. So the best thing to do, you know what I'm saying? I think the right thing to do was to charge the officers for what they done did. You see what I'm saying? The truth will come out. We're gonna stay up to date on the information. The truth has to come out. But as of right now, them suckers, that's what I don't like about the Feds sometimes. They gonna do some shit, hide what the fuck they do. Even when they wrong, they wanna hide it. And the next thing you know, he's not gonna get the charge he's supposed to get. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. Come on now.
Deliberates, that's all confidential, sealed, the public can't see it, so we don't know exactly what happened inside the grand jury chambers.
So he's not the only one that's being held in a Mississippi jail for an inordinate amount of time without any trial. There are some kind of rules to all this, though, as well. In Mississippi, you got criminal cases that have to go to trial no later than 270 days after a defendant is indicted and arraigned, but they can basically...
Most go to trial no more than 270 days, approximate 9 months after the defendant is arraigned. Okay, hold on. No limit to how long someone can wait to be indicted. Yo, what the fuck is that, bro? Let's break down the language for a second here. Imagine you got to spend 9 months in jail. Okay, it's an approximate. You're approximate. Just to be arraigned, just to go to courts, and plead your case. There's no limit to how long you'll be indicted. God damn. I said, bro, there must be some kind of monetary gain in the criminal system, in the prison system. That's why they're private entities. Because them motherfuckers getting paid for every motherfucker they keep in jail. Straight up and down like 6 o'clock.
Be held indefinitely if they're waiting for that indictment, right?
Correct. Mississippi is one of only a handful of states in which there's no limit to the amount of time that you can wait between arrest and indictment before that 270-day clock starts ticking. And then, of course, after that clock starts ticking, even though there are, just like any state, speedy trial laws, there's any number of reasons why that clock can be paused and trials can be delayed indefinitely.
Wow. I know that your reporting has had a major impact as well on some policy changes in Mississippi. And I want you to walk us through that, because these officers that were involved in this shooting, they were kind of a part of this task force in the streets of Jackson, Mississippi, right? And since your reporting emerged, I believe it was in 2023, there have been some policy changes in the way in which these officers, this task force, goes about its work.
Right. When this task force started working in Jackson, it was a big change for them.
Yeah.
They hadn't gotten basic equipment, body cameras, dashboard cameras, and also had outdated policies to reflect modern police standards, including how and when you can use deadly force. And so after we started reporting on these shootings in 2023, the policies were changed and updated.
You waited 2.5 years of the man's life. He still takes a plea deal. He's still out on parole. I don't really understand the logic of some people of the situation, man. You get what I'm saying? But I am definitely satisfied that the officers are going to get their day in court, because if they did something wrong, I'm glad that the Mississippi the courts in Mississippi had decided to hold them accountable. Now, Jackson, Mississippi, I done heard there's a lot of racist stuff that goes on in Mississippi. I'm not there to say anything. You know what I'm saying? But I'm assuming that they made those changes with the police and how they interact with the people because of this racism type shit. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta, if you're gonna be a police officer and protect the communities, you gotta be upheld to the biggest and the highest of standards. That's just my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, let me know what country, what state, what province, what street corner, what penthouse you checking in from. So we worldwide, baby, and it's nothing but love.